Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk ETC. Today I have a special guest, Daniele Levi from Stampery, and he'll be talking about his technology. Carlo is still on travel, so I, Chris Severino, will be doing the show, and I hope you enjoy it. I think it'll be a great show. So let's get right to it. So Daniele, why don't you say a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with Stampery and how you even got involved with cryptocurrencies and blockchains.
Hi, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much. So, how did I get involved with cryptocurrencies? So, I first learned about Bitcoin at the end of 2012. I read about it in a blog post about Silk Road and how this hackers currency was used in the darknet, and the concept was really fascinating for me. And I have to say that I bought my very first Bitcoins the very same day, or maybe the day after I first read about Bitcoin. And I know that this is something, it's something strange, because I've read about a lot of people saying that first you need a couple of months to understand it, and then 6 months till you are able to buy some and to invest some money in them. But for me, it was like love at first sight. I thought this is incredible. A hacker's currency, decentralized mining sounded incredibly clever for me, and of course also the fact that the supply was limited was something that really caught my attention. And I remember it was quite an adventure, because I tried to find somewhere to buy Bitcoin with my credit cards, because normally everything we buy is with credit cards on the internet. We are not so used to wire money. But of course, buying cryptocurrencies with credit cards is not the best thing you can do. But I tried very hard, and I remember that I found this Virvox or exchange, which was like an exchange for Second Life currency, and they also had Bitcoin. Of course, they charged like a huge markup on the spot price. But I bought my first Bitcoins. I think I bought like 3 Bitcoin for $20, something like that, and I started buying every day until I realized that I had to send some money to MTGOX to wire some money. That was the intelligent thing to do. But let's say that from the very first moment, I dived very deeply into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I would say that from that day, cryptocurrencies have become my main focus. I have to say that while I first learned about cryptocurrency with Bitcoin in 2012, I've always been a fan of the cypherpunk scene. In fact, when I was a teenager in the mid-90s, I remember that I spent a lot of time lurking in cypherpunk news groups in the Usenet, and I remember reading things by the WikiLeaks guy. Now I just forgot his name. By Assange, sorry.
Yes.
And reading stuff by Hal Finney, for example, and the PGP guys. I remember using PGP. I don't remember it was 1.0 or 2.0, but when I was a teenager in 1993 or 1994, and they really loved that cypherpunk word. And when I first learned about Bitcoin,
it kind of fit into that.
It really made sense for me.
All right, good. And so what was your background before you started getting interested in Bitcoin?
Okay, so I always been an entrepreneur and a hacker. Always been into technology.
So programmer.
Well, not
Okay.
really. I'm not programming. It's not my main skill. But let's say that I can program a little bit, and I've always been interested in computer science, security, hacking, and also music. And I've been building companies since I was 22.
Okay.
I built 4, 5, or 6 companies. One of them I sold it in 2012. So just a few months before starting, before diving into the cryptocurrency space. And to be specific, into the cryptocurrency space, this is the third venture I'm leading in this space. First, first I built a very big mining operation in Spain. It was 2013. I bought some Avalons, some Avalon machines, and then I would say, the very first customer of KNC Miner, and I bought quite a lot of hardware for them. I think I was lucky to be the one that first got their machines, because as you know, in mining, timing is crucial. So you need to plug in a new generation as early as possible to make a profit. So first, I did let's say I built and I managed a big mining operation in 2013. Then I tried to build an exchange in Switzerland. At that time, we had only Bitstamp and MTGOX really as good exchanges. MTGOX was already giving signs that it was going to fail. I'm speaking about end of 2013. And I thought that there was a huge opportunity to create a compliant exchange, a very compliant and professional exchange in Europe, being specific in Switzerland. We were very close. We found an investor, but we couldn't find a banking partner to be able to operate in Switzerland. So I worked in that project very hard for like 6, 7, 8 months. And when we realized that we couldn't go ahead because we didn't find the right partner, the right banking partner, we decided to create something we could build and bootstrap with our own means without needing to depend on a third party like a bank. So that's when we started thinking about Stampery, and that I'm speaking mid 2014, maybe end of 2014. And with Stampery, we wanted to focus on the use not related directly with the currency of the blockchain technology. And that's why we created Stampery. And at Stampery, what we do is extremely simple. We just use public blockchains, so both Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic, to generate proof of existence and integrity, and also ownership for any kind of data sets. So files, documents, pictures, etc.
Yeah. Now, I was going to, before the interview, I was planning to ask you how you were so advanced. What I mean is, so my impression is people are slowly getting interested in blockchains. They slowly learn about it, and then maybe slowly some people might think about starting a company. But you had this Stampery, it's going strong, and I was wondering, how did you get so far ahead? And you answered it. It was because you were just one of the original people that from the very beginning, right? You were interested in the cypherpunk movement, and then early Bitcoin. About Hal Finney. So you were there from the very beginning. You're one of the authentic, real, original cryptocurrency fans. So that's pretty impressive. And it's it's interesting that you were always an entrepreneur and you weren't afraid to try mining. You weren't. Then you even were so ambitious to do an exchange. That's very impressive. And then you did Stampery. And what is interesting to me, there's lots of things that are interesting, but basically it is notary, right? Notarization. That's one way to describe what you do, and you do more, but that's a big part of it. And so it would make sense that you would be a fan of Ethereum Classic, because a big value is immutability, right? And they don't want to change the blockchain. They don't want to make too many improvements impulsively. And so, yeah, so I was just really impressed with your background, and it makes sense that you'd be doing your work on Ethereum Classic. Which, is that correct? Everything I said?
Yeah, everything is correct. I would like to tell you a little bit more about why I went all into cryptocurrencies. I felt from the very beginning that this is the most important revolution from the internet, let's say, and I wanted to be in the front line. And look, I always had this feeling. I saw the internet revolution because when my dad brought a modem in my house, I was like 13, and nobody had internet yet let's say in Spain, in Europe, because I live in Spain, and I knew that internet was going to change the world, but I was too immature, too let's say too young to really focus my career on that. So I saw that revolution just, let's say, happening in front of my eyes. Then the second revolution I witnessed was the mobile revolution. Yes. I saw everybody had mobiles. I knew that was going to be something huge, that our lives were going to change because of this. And this is another revolution I just witnessed, let's say, on the sidelines. And this time, as soon as I learned about Bitcoin, as I told you, it was end of 2012, I said, this is going to change the world. I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin, Bitkey, or a new iteration of this concept, but cryptocurrencies are here to change the world. This is a huge revolution, and I want to be in the front line. I want to participate and being actively involved in this revolution. So that's why I really went all in from the very first moment into cryptocurrencies. And also, of course, because I understand, as I told you, I understand the cypherpunk movement. I really understand that first sight, the value proposal of a cryptocurrency. And that's why I immediately felt at home when I first read about Bitcoin. So what we do at Stampery, as you said, is some sort of 21st century notarization. So we create this proof of integrity and existence that cannot be damaged, modified, or destroyed. And because of that, we need the blockchain to be immutable. And look, I was an investor in the DAO. I invested a sum of money that was not small in the DAO, but still I was against the hard fork because I simply believe that erasing or modifying cryptographically verified history, it's against the principle of a blockchain.
Yes.
Now, in hindsight, I don't think that the Ethereum Foundation made a mistake. I think what they did was okay for their purposes or for their goals. But still, for a company like Stampery, the blockchain has to be immutable, and it cannot change. You cannot roll back what happens in a blockchain, because then you create a negative precedent.
Yeah, so it's clear that your business depends very strongly. Immutability. You don't just need a lot of immutability. You need 100% immutability, or whatever the right word is. But that's a core of your business, is that you can depend on the blockchain data.
Exactly.
And also, I'm not a great business person, but one thing that's impressive, I think, about Stampery is so many different types of businesses need, right? They need to notarize the verified data. It's right. There's a universal need for that.
Yep.
So I think that's pretty smart that you guys did that. I actually have a story, a problem that I recently had, and I wanted to describe it to you. And maybe you could tell me if Stampery could have helped me with my situation now or in the future. Can I tell you what happened?
Yes, of course.
So I'm starting a little business myself, and with some partners in Europe, and they needed, they needed to prove my identity, my address. So they needed like a utility bill, copy of my driver's license, and there was another document that they needed. So I had to, they said it had to be notarized. So I walked to the bank at lunch, 3 documents. I had to sign, date. Then I had to, then they notarized it, which I don't understand how the old notary works, but somehow it's supposed to make it more believable. And then I had to figure out how many American stamps I needed to send all my documents to Europe. And so I'm still waiting. I don't know how many days, but with something digital, right, it could have been so much faster and better. Could it have helped in my situation?
Yes, of course. I mean, right now, all these processes where you still need to go to a third party that has to guarantee that indeed your document is valid, I think these processes are 100% obsolete. I mean, why should you trust a third party when you can have mathematical proof, right?
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
So because right now we are so used that we have these trusted third parties that put their reputation on the line, and they guarantee that something happened in a certain way at a certain point of time. And all our world has been based on these kind of interactions. And right now, with blockchain technology, you don't need to trust these third parties. And if you think about it, it's the very same principle that allows a decentralized currency to happen and to work. So you can take this very same principle and apply it to other stuff, like, for example, certifying that a digital interaction really happened at a certain point of time. And you don't need anymore a third party to do this job, because at the end of the day, the third party, it's a cost, and it's also a security problem, because this third party becomes a single point of failure. And I'd say that this is a revolution that's going to affect many, many, many different areas.
Okay, but I'm just thinking out loud, but let's say I went to my bank, or let's say I went to my bank's website, and I downloaded, or the electric company, let's say, and I downloaded a bill. So now maybe I have a PDF. And so with Stampery, I could maybe make a hash or something, use your system, and put information on the blockchain that would guarantee the integrity, right?
Yeah, the integrity. It would guarantee that utility bill or that document was never tampered with.
Okay, but here's my question for you. Let's say that I download, or I get some document, I tamper with it first. Okay, I change maybe the amount that I owe, whatever, and then I use Stampery on the tampered file.
No, of course. I mean, you get a proof of integrity of the file you embedded on the blockchain, or let's say of the file whose hash you embedded on the blockchain.
Yes.
So if you tampered with the file previously,
Uh-huh.
then of course the system is not going to work. Probably you need the institution that it's giving you the document
Uh-huh.
to hash it and to store it on the blockchain.
Okay, I could, yeah, then that would add another more value if people cared about that. Yeah, that makes sense. So, and actually, one thing, if I could add, so maybe Stampery might not be able to guarantee that the original file is correct, but Stampery could guarantee that, let's say after that, like in 1 year, I don't change it, right? From
Exactly.
It's fixed after that. So that's still useful also, and there'll be people that need that service. So yeah, that's great. Why don't we now? Why don't you kind of? I think people now have an idea of the value of Stampery, what your business does. Why don't we kind of talk more in details about the process and the technology? How, if somebody wanted to notarize something or whatever you call it, stamperize, I don't know, how would they do that? Is there a website they go to or an application they download or what?
Yeah, so look, it's very simple. You can use our web application at stamp.io, and we have a web interface. They just have to drag and drop a file. It can be a picture or a PDF or whatever. And then we create the hash of this file. And then we, using a technology we have built to be able to scale, we bundle together all the hashes of the files that have been stamped during a certain window of time, and then we create a cryptographic tree of these hashes, and then we take the root of this tree and we embed it on both the Ethereum Classic blockchain and the Bitcoin blockchain, and then we generate a proof, which is all you need to independently verify that the file that was stamped was indeed stamped with that specific content at a certain point of time, at that time. So you can use our web interface, or you can use our API if you have, if you need to do like recurrent notarizations for hundreds of data sets.
Okay, I have a question for you. So if I understand correctly, the way that you solve the scalability problem is if you hash all the documents within a certain period of time together, and then that goes on the blockchain. Yeah. Now, so if you have 100 different people that need Stampery services, that you make a hash for those 100. Now, how do you know, let's say there was some tampering, how do you know which of those 100 documents is the one that was tampered with?
You have your original document, and then you also have a proof, which is a JSON file that has all the siblings, and by siblings we mean the sibling hashes that you need to reconstruct the path from your document to the root that was embedded on the blockchain.
Yeah, so that's basically like a Merkle tree.
Yeah, it's a Merkle tree. Yeah. Of
okay,
course.
So let's say, okay, so just to give the audience an idea how this works. So let's say, so I have a Stampery hash. Now I'm concerned that there was tampering. So now I want to go investigate the hash tree, the Merkle tree. So where can I get this JSON file?
The JSON file is delivered to you together as soon as you create the proof. So you have the JSON file, and when you send the original document to someone and you want them to be able to check that this document was not tampered with, you have to send them the proof to, which is a JSON file or also a PDF if you want, which is more easy to read.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was reading in your papers, you had the blockchain time-stamping architecture that you called it, and you said that you had solved the problem of scalability. So I'm glad you explained it, because I wasn't sure how that worked, but now it kind of makes sense how you combine several document hashes into one. So, and you said there was a patent pending. So this was some original work. I
Yeah,
think I read that.
Yeah, this is some original work that we have done. It's work done basically by my co-founder Luis Ivan Cuende, who is also a co-founder of Aragon, which is a project based in Ethereum, an Ethereum project, and also by our CTO Adan.
Okay, okay, and I was just looking at your website. I took some notes. You had some ideas that applications people could use Stampery for. One of them was Trailbot, right, where you could use Stampery to make sure that your files and logs haven't been tampered with, like system administrators.
Yes,
that was So, you want to say something?
Yeah. Trailbot, it's one of the vertical applications of this technology. We believe that the legacy notarization market is going to be very small compared to the opportunity brought to the market of fast and automatic dataset notarization. So one of the first interesting use cases that we analyzed was to have a system that monitored all your files. So when a file changed, it took the difference and the change in this file. It made a stamp, and then it embedded on the blockchain. So you could trace all the changes that happened in your system, and you could also create what we call smart policies, which are policies that are that create actions when something unexpected happens to your file. So imagine that a log file, it's modified in a way that it's not expected. For example, something is erased from a log file. You can
like
trigger, like a hacker. So you can trigger a smart policy. For example, bringing down the system, or pinging a system administrator, or rolling back to a clean state. And then you have all these trace of everything that happened in your system, and all these trace cannot be erased or modified because you have everything on the blockchain. So we built this Trailbot, which is the application that does all this.
Yeah, great. So, and what is if somebody out there is interested, what is the cost? Is there a specific cost per file, or what's your cost structure?
No, the service is free. We believe that this kind of service has to be free.
Well, that'll certainly attract a lot of people to use your service. What's your revenue plan or business plan?
Right now, what we are doing is offering this service for free. We want as many people as possible using it. We want to understand where this kind of service adds the more value, and then we will build a business around it. But the basic stamping, it's going to be free. In my opinion, it's going to become a commodity, and it's good that it becomes a commodity.
So I'm just guessing, but that kind of reminds me, since you're a smart business person. So Craigslist, of course, if I understand correctly, so pretty much the whole country, America, I don't know if it's worldwide, but pretty much the majority of people use Craigslist for free. They put free advertising, and I believe Craig Newmark, I believe that's his name. He only charges a very small number of individuals, like New York apartment renter, people renting in New York City, or it was businesses, but a very small number of customers is enough to fund his operation that allows him to give 99% of the public free ads. So maybe you're going to do something like that. Most of your revenue might come from enterprise usage, but individuals could use it for free, perhaps, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You can always charge for support, for SLAs. So there are many different paths to generate
Yes.
revenue. But at the beginning, for us, it's important to have as many people as possible using the service and as many companies as possible using the service. And at the end of the day, if we don't give the stamping, the basic stamping or the blockchain time stamping for free, then another company will come and they will give the service for free, because the marginal cost is very, very low.
Yes.
And it makes sense to have this kind of fast and automatic data notarization for free. Then you can build services on top for which you can charge.
No. Yes, I'm glad that we cleared that up, because I was suspecting maybe some people would be suspicious. You know, how could they charge it for free? You know, maybe they're in 6 months it's not gonna be free anymore. But you just gave a good reason why it makes sense to keep it free. And so with digital technologies, it's not terribly expensive to give things for free. Of course, that's what Google does. And so it's not too surprising that people could see that you would do that. So and very nice. Now I'm curious. Why don't we talk about like how you're interacting with governments? Is there any issues with regulations? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, so regarding governments, we have a partnership with the government of Estonia. Estonia is one of the most advanced countries in the world. They have this e-residency program and this e-residency card that allows any e-resident to interact with government services online. You can do everything online,
even voting. Yes, that's
even
right.
voting. Yeah, even voting, getting married, getting divorced, opening a bank account, opening a bank account, opening a company, whatever you want. And regarding getting divorced, there is a funny story. An Estonian friend told me that his wife has his e-residency card and also his PIN number, because sometimes they have to do some stuff online, and he gives the PIN number and the to his wife for her to manage the things. And he says that if she becomes too angry, she can divorce online just with his card and his PIN number. So you have to be careful being able to do everything online. But yeah, these guys in Estonia do everything online with their e-residency card, and you can authenticate yourself on Stampery with an Estonian e-residency card, and you can sign any kind of documents using this kind of e-residency card, and also take the document and notarize it using blockchain.
Okay, can I ask you another question about that?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the interview, I told you my story that I had to notarize those 3 documents and send them to Europe, and how inconvenient that was. And you threw out the idea that if it was important that the original document was trusted, that maybe I should have my bank or the utility company make the hash and put it on Stampery. So is there any discussions with American companies or or with American regulators, so that I could be able to go to my bank and say, hey, or utility company, hey, put this on Stampery using this protocol?
Of course, we are having discussions. The thing is that when you need regulations to be changed, you normally have to wait a lot of time. And as a startup, you cannot count on regulation changing to have a sustainable business model. So we are basically focusing on non-regulated areas. So right now, if, for example, to open a bank account, you have to have with you or to bring with you a notarized document, we are not focusing very much on that kind of use case, because you need to change the law basically and the regulations to make that happen. But yes, we are having discussions with American institutions, and you will see that soon there will be some news about that. And you have some states that are looking forward to make these kind of things happen. For example, the Delaware state, it's moving forward to be able to incorporate blockchain technology in many day-by-day processes that now are very inefficient.
Yes, because not in addition to having the guarantees that Stampery provides, it would be nice to have legal precedent, or right, that if Stampery, the blockchain, says that something is true, that a court could believe it, or they have to use that information. If there was somehow legal weight behind it, that would be nice, right? So I don't know what it would require for that to happen. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, technology we are using, it's very standard cryptography. We're just using hashes, and as you can imagine, hashes are used every day in courts or all around the world. And
okay,
a hash, it's a solid proof of the integrity or the existence of a certain data set. And then the fact that at times a blockchain timestamp cannot be tampered with, it's pretty obvious. Of course, this has to be taken to court to set a precedent, but in my opinion, it's just a matter of time.
Okay, but it sounds, from what you said, it sounds like you thought that hashes had already been maybe mentioned in previous court cases. So
of course.
Okay, so that would mean that you could, if you had to go to court, if somebody sued somebody, you could use Stampery evidence, right, to help you get to the truth, and the judge would listen to that. So it could be useful in a legal situation.
Yeah, look, I will give you an example of a real use case, Stampery use case. We have this law firm that uses Stampery because when they receive documents to be analyzed, for example, in merger and acquisitions or in this kind of operations, they take all the documents they receive and they stamp them with Stampery. So they have this proof that the documents they received at a certain point of time didn't change, because they fear that when they are analyzing this kind of documents, if something changed, for example, because they received all these documents through a Google Drive or Dropbox or this kind of cloud service, then they fear that this document can suddenly change, and a liability could pop up that they didn't see because it was not present in a previous version of the document. And then somebody could tell them, how didn't you see this liability of $2 million or whatever? So using Stampery, they can be sure that they have proof of the content they received at a certain point of time. So they use this service to make sure of the integrity of those documents.
Yes, so that's encouraging, right? If the lawyers like Stampery, that means that they think there's validity, there's legal weight behind it if it's necessary. So that's good to know. Let me go back and ask you one last technical question. So I'm impressed by your solution to the scaling problem, how you combine hashes, and you said that it was similar to a Merkle tree, what you were doing, if it's not exactly the same. So I don't know if you want to say, or maybe you can't say, or maybe you have to wait for the patent, but why did you need a patent? Can you kind of maybe give a description? What was the original thing in addition to the Merkle tree that you had to
it's just how it's just how do we use it in the specific case, and we needed the patent just for have it in a defensive fashion. We have no
Okay.
intention of stopping others in using a similar technology. We just
Uh-huh.
applied for the patent to have it
Uh-huh.
as a defensive asset. That's it.
Okay. 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 I understand. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you. I think you've answered all my questions. I think people have a better idea of how Stampery works. It seems the fact that it's free and there's a global need, universal need for your services. I would think that we're going to be hearing a lot from you in the near future. Sounds like you have a great business.
Thank you.
So before we close, did you have anything else that you wanted to add that I missed that I didn't ask?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Chris.
Okay, so in summary, Stampery provides essentially notarizations and related services, and it does it on digital files. The service is free, and you can access the free notarization service at stampery.io. Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Okay, and it's useful for all kinds of files. System administrators could use it for their log files, right? As you said, lawyers could use it for all manner of files. So really any kind of digital content that people want to make sure it hasn't been tampered with could use your free service, which is great. So thank you, Danielle, for explaining that to us. And yeah, so I just wish you well, and we'll keep in touch.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you are passionate about anything related to Ethereum Classic and you have something to say, we'd love to discuss that with you on the show. We're always looking for interesting guests, so don't be afraid to ask.